After 100 hours of playing Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin, playing it twice and accomplishing everything that I wanted to accomplish with the game, I'm finally saying goodbye to it. And I want to have a conversation with you about some of the best things, the things that I like the most about this game, and also some of the things that I didn't really like about the game, and ultimately set my mind once and for all, just set it on stone, if this game is really truly that bad as so many people warned me about not playing the game or not, or if it is actually a good game. First, I want to talk about the best things that I found in the game, okay? So I want to start with amazing armor sets. I think that the variety of armor sets in the game is amazing. It's incredible. From robes to light, heavy, and medium armor sets, they are all incredible. They are very well designed, incredibly amount of detail, especially compared to Dark Souls Remastered. And I think probably some of my favorite ones, if not all my favorite ones, are contained in the DLC. Like the Raim's armor, the Cirillon armor, the Drakeblood armor. They were absolutely incredible. Following the same premise, I would like to talk about the amazing weapons too, because even though I experienced sort of a fraction of the content of the game because I didn't play as a mage and I didn't play a strength build, I didn't use, ultra great swords or whatnot. I did equip some of them to see how they looked and whatnot, but mainly, of course, I had a vast majority of experience with the katanas and longswords and whatnot, and the design of them are incredible. Some of my favorite ones, probably all the katanas in the game. The black katana, the bewitched alone sword is amazing. The charred Loy sword, amazing design, and the Loy sword too, incredible detail, beautification details that it has in the design. Like, I think in terms of the visuals of the armor sets and weapons, the developers of this team really put a lot of effort. Another thing that I liked about the game is that you can restore your humanity on the go. In Dark Souls Remastered, I felt that the pacing of the game sometimes was very deprived because you had to go to the bonfires to be able to restore your humanity, while in Dark Souls 2 you can do that on the go, and I really like that about, in this case, the human effigies. Another thing that I really liked about the game was the locations. Some of the locations in the game are really gorgeous, like for example Majula, Heidi's Towers of Flame, a Dragon Shrine, probably the three DLC areas. They're open and spacious, and certainly that's a contrast to Dark Souls Remastered, because in my opinion Dark Souls Remastered feels, especially in comparison to Dark Souls 2, more claustrophobic. But the thing that Dark Souls 2 has as a signature, I would say, is that it takes another route, and it's actually a route that, in my opinion, it pays off really well. Other couple of things that I really liked about the game was I liked that you get to have 4 ring slots. I think that the Hex build is really cool. I didn't get to play it myself, but I got to see a content creator doing a let's play of the game, doing a Hex build, and it looks really fun. You have power stancing now, which I particularly didn't use, even though I did go in with a dexterity build. But the thing is, to my gameplay style, I like to parry a lot. So I don't think you can do that with power stancing. So I tested the power stancing, but I just stayed with the parries and whatnot. But it's a really cool feature that the game has that I think a lot of people really enjoyed. I like that you can enchant boss weapons now. I think that's a very cool addition to it. This game adds a lot of freedom in terms of how you can enhance and modify your equipment, which I think is very welcomed. It felt like the song, the apologies, I'm used to breaking down the songs. I feel like the game gives you more resources from the get-go. Maybe this is just a feeling kind of thing than an actual thing that is in the game, that that you get to have more resources to upgrade your weapons and whatnot, but at least it felt to me like that was the case. I like also that you have fast travel from the get-go in the game. Some people don't really like this because they are accustomed to the very brilliant level design of Dark Souls Remastered, but I think this game didn't need that because of the way it was designed. And it's actually good that you get to fast travel from the get-go because you already had that in the late game of Dark Souls Remastered, so it's like a passing of the torch, if you will. Also, this game has some of my favorite songs in the series so far. I really liked the Majula song, is absolutely incredible, tier S. The Ruined Sentinels song are also really good. The Slumbering Dragon, probably my favorite orchestral song in all Dark Souls so far. And Audio Scholar of the First Sin is actually too a fantastic track. And finally, I would like to talk a little bit briefly about the bonfire aesthetics, because I think they are probably my favorite item in the whole game. But I will explain why that is in a later section. Now let's talk about some of the things that I didn't really like about the game, okay? And let's address the elephant in the room, and let's talk about ADP. I think ADP is a feature in the game, a layer in the game that is absolutely unnecessary. Because Dark Souls has been known as this very cryptic game, apologies. And ADP affects so many things, and among all those things, there's something called agility. And agility apparently pertains to how fast you perform certain actions and also your iframes. Imagine if you're a first-time player and you don't know anything about ADP or agility, and the game doesn't actually deliver a good explanation on what it does and what the purpose of it is. The game is going to feel very punishing, and you're not going to have any clue of why that is. I think it's an overly complicated system that you have to invest a sum of your precious souls that you could otherwise invest in something way more useful if this layer of complexity wasn't in it, and actually punishes new players, and even punishes some players even more because some of the starting classes have, I think, more ADP than others. Another thing that I don't like about the game is the homing arrows, and this happens too in Dark Souls Remastered. Now, unless I am missing some kind of lore about why the archers, the enemy archers in the game fire arrows this way, I think it's just a cheap way of increasing the difficulty of the game. The stamina feels dwarfed also. I felt like I was depleting my stamina bar so quickly. Even in the later stages of my playthrough, close to 100 hours, I still felt like the stamina bar was just depleting so fast. And at that point, I had a really chunky amount of points in all my character, including the stamina bar. There is no rust iron ring. And I think it was baffling to me that this item was missing from the game, because you could use it in one of the worst areas, one of the most annoying areas in the game, which is the Shrine of Amana. And I kept thinking, like, well, maybe the ring is somewhere else, I didn't get it, or something else. But as it turns out, this game doesn't have a rust iron ring. Another issue that I have with the game is the NG plus experience, because it has way too many enemies. We have more regular enemies, red phantoms, and invaders. So the pacing of the game becomes really grindy, because if you don't want to get ganked all the time, you have to pick one by one, right? And it becomes this long process of, baiting one of them, killing them, then going back and doing that again over and over again. And it certainly holds the pacing of the game to a bog, basically. You're going on a bog. Another couple of things that I didn't like about the game that are actually sort of a legacy thing from Dark Souls Remastered is the clipping attacks and the terrain collision. I would like to think that if you're going to make a sequel, you will look at those kind of things and you will say, well, we need to fix this, right? Because sometimes you as a player cannot clip through the walls, but the enemy can clip through the same part of the wall and kill you. Bosses in the base game are very, very lackluster. The only boss probably that I did have some sort of challenge was with the Ruined Sentinels. For the most amount of the boss battles that I had in the base game, I was blazing through the game. I killed 1 or 2 games per session. I think there's too much recycled content in the game also. You have repeating Dragon Riders, especially in the NG+, the Aldia Dragon boss you find later that is just a regular mob in the Dragon Area. Lodan Salen, the Smelter Demon. Ilana spawns a clone of a previous boss. Yeah, it's too much, mate. Another issue that I didn't like about the game that is also an issue that I complained about in Dark Souls Remastered is that they don't have, more often than not, they don't have a bonfire outside of the boss arenas. There's a couple of instances, apologies, in which that happens. Like for example, when you're going to fight Sin, the Slumbering Dragon, you have a bonfire right outside the boss arena, which is the thing that I have been advocating so much about these games since I first played Dark Souls Remastered. But however, it's still an issue in this game. And finally, probably the worst experience that I had was that this game has the worst runbacks in the whole thing. Oh boy, those runbacks through the frigid outskirts, they were absolutely dreadful. I wouldn't do that ever again in my life unless someone paid me like $1 million or something. Hell! Filth! No! Now to finalize my commentary, I just would like to mention that in a way this game I think has some layers that make it a way of addressing it will be like an easier way for beginners. And it's that, of course, you have the summons, which has always been in the game. But there's other things, like, for example, you have infinite healing items. You can burn effigies on the bonfires so it's to minimize the risk of being invaded while you play. And, the bonfire aesthetics, which is something that I mentioned in the video, starting the video. It's one of the things that I like the most about the game, and something that I did exploit to the utmost degree, let's say, because it allows you to farm a lot of souls from the very get-go. As soon as you have a bonfire aesthetic, you can farm any boss that you like. I particularly farmed a lot the Giant Lord. And by doing so, this was the first Dark Souls experience where I felt like a cockroach in the beginning. But then when I was approaching the late game, by making use of the bonfire aesthetics was the first time in a Dark Souls game where I actually felt like I had some sort of power. Because in Dark Souls Remastered, I always felt like a cockroach from the beginning towards the end. And it's interesting that this happens in this game because in Dark Souls Remastered, you're supposed to be the chosen undead. While in comparison to Dark Souls 2, you're just the bearer of the curse. You're just like everyday undead lad. So it would make common sense if you were to feel in the late game in Dark Souls Remastered more powerful, more of like a god than in Dark Souls 2, where you're just, a regular undead kind of lad. But by exploiting this bonfire aesthetics, you actually get to feel like the chosen undead in a way. Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin, is certainly a game that has a lot of flaws, but nevertheless I enjoyed it a lot. It is, in my opinion, sort of a sacrificial lamb in the Dark Souls series, because even though this game certainly had a very troublesome development time all throughout, they also tried newer things. They tried to innovate with this game. Some of those things didn't really work and others did work. Like, for example, ADP, in my opinion, didn't really work at all. I'm guessing they didn't use it again in Dark Souls 3. And, they had some really cool things like power stancing, which, as far as I know, from people that is playing Elden Ring, they are enjoying that feature that it comes, in an essence, from Dark Souls 2. So even though this game is a sacrificial lamb, it's still a great game, and that is an absolutely incredible feat to achieve considering the situation. So I'm gonna give this game a B tier. Hey, but before you go, make sure to check out my Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin first time playthrough right here, and also my Dark Souls 2 original soundtrack tier list. If you want to support my work further, you can check my Patreon in the support section in the description of this video. And also you can subscribe and give a like, alright? Thank you very much.